So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Theo Rosado, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to round 12 of the FSGP series. We are here in Britain at GPK Silverstone, and we are set for a 20-lap race with the Math Formula Team MFTO2 around GPK Silverstone. So, without further ado, let's go through the grid. In 15th place, we have Daniel Guzman. 14th position goes to Estia Engelbrecht. 13th place for Lorenzo Laderas. P12, Rayshawn Thompson. P11, Ashley van der Salm. P10 for Elizabeth Mann. P9 for David Wilson. P8 for Thomas Kane. In P7, we have the Frenchman Matthias Patarozzi. P6, Andre Ries. In P5, Antonio Correia, one of the championship regulars. P4 goes to Brendan Pierce. P3 for a brand new driver in the FSGP community, Junio Lopez. P2 goes to Elias Hoog. And on pole position, the championship leader, the Dutchman Gus van Doremalen, who posted a time of 1 minute 6 seconds, 0.7 tenths to get this pole position. So the grid is set for round 12 of the FSGP series here at Silverstone for the British FSGP. The lights are coming up now. 4 lights, 5 lights, 6 lights. We are racing at Silverstone, and it's a good start for Gus van Doremalen. Elias Hoog in second place with Lopez in third. Heading into turn 3, the first braking zone. Van Doremalen defends the inside. Behind we see Brendan Pierce side by side with Lopez. Lopez overtakes Pierce. Lopez retains P3 back onto the first straight of the circuit. Van Doremalen leads from Hoog, very close behind in second place. However, we see a big battle behind between Ries and Patarozzi. There's contact now, and there's a big spin and a crash behind. That was David Wilson going into the barrier at turn 7. Big contact, and here we see Correia, Mann, and Salm. All of them battling, heading into Copse for the first time on this race. Correia having to defend from the attacks of Malm into the S's. Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel. We see Mann lose the backhand a little bit. And now Engelbrecht on the slipstream of Salm as we are going to complete the first lap of 20. Remember, there will be a pit stop throughout the race that drivers have to worry about. Back onto the battle for the lead, we see Hoog on the slipstream of Van Doremalen heading into the first hairpin. Turn 3, not close enough to throw an attack, but Hoog with a very strong start as we go back to the battle for P9, and there's a big crash. Guzman and Engelbrecht have made contact in turn 1. Very unfortunate impact. And that is... oh no, this is Guzman now in P8, so that was not the driver involved, it was Laderas involved. The timing screen was messing a little bit there, but it is Guzman now in P8, Thomas Kane in P9, using the mistake of Guzman to throw an attack. We are heading into Copse. Thomas Kane on the slipstream of Guzman. We head into Copse. That's not a normal place where you overtake, so Thomas Kane taking it with ease. Now going around the outside. That's not a place where you normally overtake. And indeed, that's not a place where Thomas Kane is gonna throw to attempt an overtake. Meanwhile, at the front, we have Doremalen 8 tenths in front of Elias Hoog. The top 3 is spreading out a little bit. And look at Lopez. First race ever in the Formula Student Grand Prix Series. And he is making a wonderful job keeping up with the top 2. Right there, waiting for any mistakes that could appear. We go back to the battle here at the back of the field. We see Patarozzi trying an overtake on Salm side by side through turn 1. That's a very risky place to go side by side. Patarozzi with the inside, but Salm will get the switch back in turn 4. Big slide, however, for Salm. Patarozzi will get better traction onto the Wellington straight. And Patarozzi makes the move. I thought Salm was gonna hit the rear of Patarozzi, but both survive, and Patarozzi up into position 13. As the lead now spreads out 1 second between Doremalen and Hoog. Hoog keeping up with Doremalen, who won the previous race in Austria. The race prior was won by Losi, who is not able to attend this race. Remember, that's not a big problem for the championship, as there will be dropped scores and only the best 17 results from each driver will count towards the standings. So Losi and is not in this race, and Jason Milanov is not on this race either. So two of the big contenders for the championship not on this race. But look at this battle now. Big group from P9 all the way back to P15. Everyone is bunched up. There we see Engelbrecht attempting an overtake on Thompson. That's for the last points paying position. We see behind Patarozzi overtaking Guzman, and now on the slipstream of Engelbrecht. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. Clearly not the first time I read that name, so apologies for that. There we see Patarozzi trying the switchback. Now he's gonna get a good slipstream on Engelbrecht. As we head into Cops, Patarozzi is gonna have to take his time. That's not a good place to try and overtake, so I think he's gonna have to wait. As we see Thomas Kane has gained a position on man for P7. Big battle there. Oh, and both cars go out. Patarozzi and Engelbrecht went off. Guzman is gonna use this opportunity. There's a car wide, that is Wilson. So lots of movement here on the S's. Oh, and there's a big crash. Guzman hits the back of Engelbrecht on the Stowe corner. Unfortunately, that's the case. Here we see the battle for P7. Thomas Kane went past Man. Man is keeping up with Kane. Now he's gonna get the slipstream, heading into Woodcote. Elizabeth Mann, I believe this is one of her first few races in the community, so good to see new faces racing with us. And she's on the attack on Thomas Kane on the slipstream. The British driver attacking the American driver onto the S's. That's not a place where Elizabeth is going to be able to overtake, and Thomas uses the dirty air effect to open a small gap. Meanwhile, the battle for P10. So we see Reese, who seems to be... oh no, that was the timing tower. Apologies, sometimes the timing tower does that. And we go back to the battle for P9. This is Laderas leading Thompson, leading Patarozzi. A few points in play here. And as we approach lap 6, oh, there's a spin there for Thompson, and there's contact between Wilson and Salm. Further back the grid, and Engelbrecht is going to overtake both of them. So contact between Engelbrecht and Salm outside of the points. As we see the first pit stop, that is Guzman, lap 6 out of 20. So making a pit stop now, you can make it to the end. Remember, everyone has to make a pit stop to make it to the end and refuel. So the strategic element from these races, we're going to start to see people attempting undercuts or overcuts and just try to be clever with the strategy to gain positions. Dora Malen in front, Hoke 1.5 seconds behind. Dora Malen has not been able to open a big gap. Hoke is still there, so any mistakes from Dora Malen could still cost dearly. Hoke, who's still searching for that first win this season. Last time he won, it was Las Vegas in 2023. And we see Patarozzi overtaking Laderas. Laderas went wide in Stove, and Patarozzi using that opportunity to overtake beautifully. The Frenchman has now made a position. Here we go further back. This was the two drivers that made contact, Wilson and Salm. And they are very close to each other, so don't discount the possibility of them hitting each other again. Wilson gets a very good exit out of the final corner. Heading into turn 1, Wilson is all over the back of Salm, weaving left and right, trying to find a way past. Salm goes deep into turn 3. Wilson now is going to try the switchback, gets better traction, goes down the inside. Wilson makes the overtake, beautiful overtake there on the traction, but now Salm is going to get the slipstream and is unable to make it happen, but Wilson goes wide. Just beautiful battle here at the back of the grid. This is for P13, so they still need to make a few positions if they want to score points from this race. They have been involved in a few incidents prior, so unfortunately for them, I don't think it's gonna be an easy task for them to score points today. Who knows, any mistake that can throw you back down. Dora Malen through the S is 1.6 seconds over Hogue. So he's opening the gap, pushing to the limit on the grass. So we can see how everyone is just on the limit. Any tenth of a second can be very important at this stage of the race, especially as pit stops are coming up. Lopez P3, very, very impressive race so far from the Portuguese driver, and goes into pits, and so does so Lopez is the first driver from the front group to go into the pits. Salm in P14 is also in the pits, but Lopez going for the undercut, and Brendan Pierce going through now P3. Of course, he still has not pitted on lap 9 of 20. Rees will come behind his Portuguese rival. So Rees still has to pit. A very impressive race from Rees as well. Lopez will have to defend against Rees. This is not benefiting any of them. But of course, Lopez out of the pits. Oh, Rees goes wide. So Rees losing ground there and goes wide again. Andre Rees, the Portuguese driver, losing a little bit of time there attacking. As we see the battle for P11, Wilson goes... No, this is for P10. Thompson goes through Laderas for P10. And now Thompson is the one scoring the last points-paying position. Thompson going a little bit wide, so Laderas is still on the slipstream. He still has a chance to attack. As we head into Cobbs, using the slipstream to close the gap further. Onto the S's we go. Look at Laderas all over the back of Thompson. Braking very hard. That's not a good exit from Laderas, so he's not going to be on the slipstream here on the Hangar Straight, heading into Stove. So Laderas will have to buy his time, just wait a little bit to make the attack. Into the final chicane. Will any of them go into the pits using the window? No, they don't. They continue on track, so they are extending this stint further. So we're halfway through the race. Dora Malen 1.5 seconds in front of Hogue. Brendan Pierce is in third place. These three drivers are yet to pit, so we have to keep an eye on them and see where they come out with respect of Lopez, who is the first driver out of those who have already done their mandatory stop. Elizabeth Mann, P8, very strong result. Thomas Kane has been able to open a gap in P7. As we see Thomas Kane, I just jinxed him. And Thomas Kane nearly spins, losing valuable tenths on Mann. Valuable seconds on Mann. So the gap went from 4.5 seconds to 2.5 seconds. So that battle, I believe, is far from over. Meanwhile, this is the battle for P5. So in 4th, 5th, and 6th, we have 3 Portuguese drivers, Lopez, Rees, and Correia. I guess we have to rename this to Formula 2 in Portugal. And Elizabeth Mann goes into the pit, so throwing a bit of an undercut on Thomas Kane, attempting to overtake. And we see Correia. They are lapping, I believe that is Salm, the driver they are lapping. Salm getting out of the way very cleanly. Letting Rees and Correia through. And here is Brendan Pierce, P3, over the curves, very aggressive. The American driver as he goes into the pits. So Brendan Pierce pits. Let's see where he comes out with respect of Lopez. Meanwhile, the leading group, Dora Malen and Hogue, are yet to pit. Big battle between them. Here we see Lopez. There is Brendan Pierce. But Lopez manages to stay ahead of Brendan Pierce. Brendan Pierce 2.3 seconds behind Lopez, and we have Rees now attacking. Let's see, heading into Woodcote if Rees is able to pass. He's not, and now through Luffield. I believe Rees is going to struggle a little bit to keep up with Pierce, Brendan Pierce, who has a very strong pace this weekend, attempting to get another podium this season. Through the S's, and Gus van Dora Malen goes into the pits. The leader goes into the pits. Elias Hogue inherits the lead. Let's see where Gus appears. can hear the engine already coming out. Here is Lopez in third place. I believe Doremalen will have margin. He does. So he's 9.8 seconds behind Hogue, the leader of this race. Rees now comes into the pits. So does Correira. So the Portuguese drivers both pitting at the same lap. Will be interesting to see if there are any changes. The pit crews who's faster on the pits, refueling these cars. Thomas came too far back to attempt the pass. And I believe Correira has jumped Rees. He has. So Rees may have had damage because he's taking a long time in the pit lane. And he had to repair damage indeed. Correira now in 5th place in front of his Portuguese rival. Compatriot, that's the word I was looking for. Apologies for that. So Correira now in 5th place, Rees in 6th, and now Elias Hogue pitting. Van Doremalen 9.7 seconds behind with some lap traffic now, Van Doremalen. So that's gonna hurt him a little bit, but he has found him in a good place to pass, I believe. And there is Hogue. There is Hogue. Heading into turn 3. And the gap seems to have stayed stable. 1.3 seconds between them. Now Hogue is going to have to go through the lap traffic. But I believe Hogue has been faster on the in-laps and out-laps because the gap has gone down to 1 second exactly. Wilson with a big dive on Engelbrecht. Now trying to go around the outside, and he does for P12 for David Wilson. Great pass. But the gap at the front is less than a second. Elias Hogue pit crew has been faster than Gus van Doremalen's pit crew. Through the S's. The gap is now 1 second. It was 1.7 before the pit stops began. Ooh, big wiggle there for Hogue. He's pushing to the limit, attempting to close the gap to Doremalen. Over the curves, jumping over the curves, nearly spinning out. Elias Hogue pushing to the absolute limit, trying to catch Gus van Doremalen. Very, very aggressive driving indeed from the German driver. We go back to this battle in P12. Wilson Engelbrecht is now P13. Behind him is Salm and Guzman, who has been able to rejoin. I noticed he had to pit and exited the server, so connection issues for Guzman, it looks like, unfortunately, on this race, and he pits again, so there may be some issues with that race car. The gap is now 1.5 seconds, and there's some lap traffic. Elias Hogue had to go through. Oh! And there's some technical issues for Elias Hogue. And Elias Hogue. Oh, thankfully, that wasn't just a connection issue. And he's back behind Doremalen. I thought for a moment that was gonna be it. And look at this, Doremalen having to defend. Hogue all over the back of Doremalen. Gets a better run, gets a better exit. Goes through. Hogue takes the lead. This is still not over. They're still side by side. Hogue leads this race in front of Doremalen into turns 3 and 4. Elias Hogue leads the British FSGP in front of Gus van Doremalen. Can Elias defend this position? However, there's still a few laps to go. Doremalen all over the back of Elias Hogue on the slipstream, heading into Copse. Doremalen on the outside, Hogue on the inside. They're gonna go side by side through Copse. Doremalen attempting a pass on the S's. I don't think that's gonna work, and indeed, Doremalen lifts. He's gonna prepare the S's to try a pass on the Hanger Straight, and Hogue has gone wide, so Doremalen is gonna get an opportunity heading into Stove. Doremalen down the inside into Stove, very aggressive maneuver. There's contact. Both spin out. Both spin out. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. Oh, and Hogue spinning further. Lopez is all over the back of Hogue now. No, Lopez has gone past Hogue. And Doremalen leads. Lopez is in second. Oh, some issues for Hogue by the looks of things on the grass. And here is Lopez, who could win on the view. He could win on his very first FSGP race. What a story that would be. Passing Doremalen is not gonna be easy. Let's see how it goes. Heading into lap, there's lap traffic as well. These drivers have to deal with. So this is not a simple task for them. Lopez on the slipstream, closing on Doremalen, heading into cups onto the S's. Look at Lopez all over the back of Doremalen through the S's. Important to prepare the exit here of Beckett's and Chapel. He gets a good run. Doremalen using the slipstream of the lap traffic to defend. Very intelligent from the Dutchman. That was the only way he was gonna keep the position at that point. Very intelligent from Doremalen, showing why he has won this championship in the past. Lopez is still within slipstream reach of Van Doremalen. Very important for Lopez to be able to use the slipstream to his advantage and stay in touch. Through the turns 3 and 4, Lopez getting a good exit, good traction, but Doremalen opening a little bit the gap with this half a second now. Doremalen very quick through this section of the racetrack, and a big wiggle for Lopez. That's gonna cost him a lot of time, as this is a very important acceleration zone. With 2.5 laps to go, Doremalen leads. Lopez is second. After the incident between Doremalen and Hogue, it looked like a racing incident from the TV views, both of them pushing to try to get the win, and unfortunately both are spinning out, and Hogue just being stuck on the grass at that point. 2 laps to go. Lopez within a second of Doremalen. Oh, and there's a spin behind. That is, I believe, one of the lapped cars. That is Laderas indeed, who loses the last point. So Thompson is gonna get the last point in this race because Laderas spun, unfortunately. Here we see Elias Hogue heading into the S's. Turns 3 and 4, and there Laderas just crashed out. So attempting to give way to Elias Hogue. Laderas crashing out. Here we see Brendan Pierce, 3rd place. He will get this podium by the looks of things. And the gap at the front, Lopez 1.3 seconds behind Doremalen. So Doremalen has managed to open a small gap to get a small breather in front of Lopez. Through the S's we go. And I believe Hogue is closing very quickly on Pierce, but I think he's gonna run out of laps. I think he's just not gonna have enough time. As we enter the final lap, Doremalen 1.5 seconds in front of Lopez, who has been, in my opinion, the driver of the day. First time racing Formula Student cars, and he's going to get a podium, a P2 position. Super impressive drive from the Portuguese driver. And putting a big fight with one of the champions from previous seasons. That is very impressive, and the championship leader, I should add, is Van Doremalen, who is having a very dominant season this year, and this will be his 2nd consecutive win after the win in Austria. He has won multiple races this year. He's gonna add another trophy to that collection if he doesn't make any mistake, and he goes wide, but he manages to save it on the final lap. Very close. We were very close from seeing a first-time winner on the view. But Gus Van Doremalen, through the final chicane, comes across the line to win the British FSGP. After a big fight, he had to earn this one. 2nd place goes for Lopez. Impressive drive from the Portuguese driver. And Brendan Pierce, who gets a podium in front of Elias Hogue, who did his best. But unfortunately, he comes short of getting a trophy and will finish P4. 5th place, Antonio Correia. Very impressive drive as well. Through the final corners for the Portuguese driver. 10 points will go for him. And Andre Ruiz gets P6. Thomas Kane is going to get P7. Then is Patarozzi in P8. Elizabeth Mann, she will get 2 points from finishing P9. Ooh, nearly spinning out. Don't crash. This is the final lap. Don't crash on the final lap. Elizabeth Mann through the final corners. And we see Thompson. Where is Thompson? Oh, I believe he has already finished. He's just exploring the track. I was scared for a moment.
Okay, that was quite the race we had today. Brendan, how do you feel it went?
Um, it went smooth enough for me. I just didn't have the pace to keep up with the people in front.
Did you have any problems with back markers, or did you just not have the pace today?
No, the back markers were kind. They got out of the way. I just didn't. I was like a tenth or so off the pace from second place and or third for the most of the race till the end.
Do you feel like if you had more practice, you might have been able to do it?
I practiced for this race.
Oh,
Maybe more, I don't know. I've done a bunch of laps. I thought I was doing all right. I couldn't bring it back down to where I was in practice consistently.
that makes sense. Unfortunately, we don't have P2 today. Julio was the one who won that. Julio Lopez, one of our new drivers, but we'll just go on to P1. Mr. Goose, how'd your race go?
Yeah, in the beginning it went pretty well. I could create a gap to Elias, so that was great. But then after the pit stops, I just made a small mistake, so I lost a bit of time, and he could catch up and pass me. But then after that, I tried to overtake him, but it, it went well. I just left a little not enough space on the outside, so he touched, unfortunately.
That's a shame. Did that happen because you of the ping incident that we were having, or you think you just didn't leave enough space?
Yeah, I think I just didn't leave enough space.
That's a shame. Well, for now, at the
Yeah.
very least, you're P1. Did you have any issues with back markers, or was that all clear sailing?
Oh, it was all clear. No real problems. Yeah.
All right. We're having a break for a couple of weeks now on the official SGP calendar, but next week we're moving on to Le Mans for 2.24 hours. We hope to see you all there.